A few days ago, I received a text message from my friend. She was sharing with me how hurt she felt because her friend Jason lied to her in order to bail out on their group project. She wasn't necessarily upset because Jason was a free rider, but she was upset that he didn't trust her enough to admit he had depression instead of a broken bone. So initially, Jason had told her that he got into a car accident and he broke his arm, but he admitted later that this isn't true. Instead, he's been struggling with crippling depression due to conflicts between his parents at home, and this prevented him from being able to focus and work on anything. I'm not saying it's okay to lie to your friends, but I can't help but sympathize with Jason, because after all, in universities, depression isn't considered a valid enough excuse to miss assignments, whereas broken bones are. So it makes sense that he would fabricate this lie. But this got me thinking though, why don't universities consider mental health problems as seriously as they consider physical health problems? I think a lot of the times the attitude that universities have is that unless you've attempted to commit suicide, then you don't deserve to take some time off and care for your mental health. Can you imagine if we have the same attitude towards physical illnesses? It will be like saying cancer patients don't deserve chemotherapy unless their cancer has metastasized. This sounds crazy, and I think this kind of attitude needs to change. One of the biggest misconceptions that lead to this belief is that mental illnesses are all in your head, meaning with enough grit and determination you can overcome them because there aren't real physiological processes involved behind it. This is false because it has been shown that people who struggle with depression have lower levels of the neurotransmitter serotonin. They also have a smaller hippocampus and changes in the 5-hydroxytryptamine hormone system. People who struggle with generalized anxiety disorder have also been shown to carry a certain DNA allele and increased DNA methylation. Another common misconception is that mental illnesses aren't as debilitating as physical illnesses. This again is false because the World Health Organization has declared depression to be the leading cause of disability worldwide. Mental illnesses in general, they can cause the same impact on our lifespan as smoking does. If universities discourage students from smoking for the sake of their health, shouldn't universities also put restrictions on unhealthy mental habits as well? Not only are mental illnesses very real and serious, they're also very common amongst university students. 1 in 4 university students struggle with mental illnesses, and this number has been steadily increasing over the past 10 years. This mental illness pandemic amongst university students is due to, you guessed it, stress. Academic issues hold a major factor in the stress experienced by clinically depressed college students. Stress in young adults can increase the oxidative stress in their brain, and this in turn makes them more vulnerable to anxiety and depression. Prolonged stress also causes changes in the 5-hydroxytryptamine hormone system, which, as I've mentioned previously, is linked to depression. So, knowing all this, what will be the proper way for us to respond? Since a lot of university students experience mental health problems due to academic stress, it makes sense for us to reduce academic stress. One easy way for us to do this is by universities instituting a mental health break, where university students who struggle with mental illnesses are allowed to take a break from classes, exams, and assignments in order to rest. Not only will this give students relief from stress, it will also teach them to care for their mental health. Some may argue that this will actually make students will use this as an excuse to be lazy and unproductive. But countless research papers actually show that rest increases productivity and learning. Part of this is due to a phenomenon called sharp wave ripples. When we're exposed to a new environment, our brains take in new information by firing neurons in a distinct pattern. If given the opportunity to rest, our brain will then try to recreate this pattern, and this is what we call the sharp wave ripple. It has been shown that in rat brains who have been prevented from performing sharp wave ripples, they actually result in increased forgetfulness. Additionally, researchers also find that certain parts of the brain are more active during rest, and they've named it the default mode network of the brain. This network is essential for proper and healthy psychological functioning and also moral development. These laboratory findings have also been shown to be true in the real life. Researchers in the Harvard Business School conducted a research for 4 years in the Boston Consultancy Group. They required employees to take regular days off in the middle of the week, and during these day offs, they weren't allowed to touch any work-related matters. These employees were very devoted to their jobs, so it was very difficult at first, but eventually, the results speak for themselves. They end up performing even better when they were in the office, and they experienced a major increase in work satisfaction. So to recap, a lot of university students are experiencing unhealthy levels of academic stress these days, and it is negatively impacting their well-being, and this in turn prevents them from being able to perform at their best. However, there is a way out of this vicious cycle. If universities were to institute mental health breaks, students will be able to recuperate from stress and increase their overall academic performance too. After all, a machine does need regular oiling in order for it to function properly, right? Actually, you know what? Scratch that. University students aren't machines. We're human beings, and there's so much more to our lives than just exams and assignments. So doesn't it make sense to give us time and headspace for these other things too? Thank you.